Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video we are going to be talking about Salem's Lot, the 2024 version. So this is a Max original, so that is where I watched it. If you don't know, this film is based off of a Stephen King novel by the same name. There is already an adaptation of this that was considered a mini-series that was released in the late 70s. I have watched and reviewed that one, so you can check that out if you're interested. Going into this review, it has been a while since I've watched that original adaptation, and I also have not read the book. If you are not new here, you already heard to know I'm not a big reader, so when it comes to film adaptations based off of books or novels, if you're looking for any sort of like comparison between the two, you're not gonna find that here, because like I said, I have not read the novel that it is based off of, so I am just going into this one based off of the film itself. It follows the story of Ben, a writer who goes back to his childhood hometown of Salem's Lot to kind of reconnect with the town. He was forced to leave at the age of 9 after his parents die in a horrible car crash, and so he's there kind of just trying to get inspiration to write and really like reconnect with this town that he was forced into leaving. He meets this woman named Susan who lives there. They connect, start to fall in love, and then all this kind of craziness starts happening around the town. A small boy goes missing one night, and then his brother ends up dying the next day of this blood loss disease, and from there it just continues with death after death. I actually really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed this version of it. I really liked the tone of the film. I felt like throughout the majority of the film, they did a really good job of giving it this tense feeling between, you know, the mystery that the characters are feeling and what we are seeing actually happen, and they really don't shy away from, I felt like, pushing the envelope in a sense, because we see what happens to these characters, including children. There is the first kind of death of that young boy that I mentioned. We don't really see his exact death, but you know what happens, and we see the blood spatter of it. I did think it was really interesting that for a film, especially that deals with that they would show so much of it. I was not really expecting that. I thought majority of what we would see would be off screen, so the fact that we saw so much on screen, I really was surprised by and enjoyed. But where the film does fall flat is the graphics. When I was looking at some of the Letterboxd reviews, that was one thing that I saw a lot of people say, and I definitely agreed, is that they just went a little too over the top with the effects in this film. They made the vampire eyes glow like really intensely, and that was really cheesy, along with every time one of the characters uses a cross, it glows really intensely, and that was just a bit too much. It was just kind of like, we get it, the cross works. It was like they were trying to show you that, look, the cross works on the vampires. We get it. We all know vampire lore. You don't need to show that the cross is working on the vampires. I mean, there is a scene where some of the characters try to like makeshift a cross, and it doesn't work. And then when it does start to work, it glows. And again, I get what they're trying to do there, but that was just, it was unnecessary, and so that was just another added cheesy effect. I feel like too much of, you'd have this great tension going on again between the characters and just kind of what is happening, and moments that would like keep you kind of on the edge, and then when you got to the actual action of the vampires and seeing the vampires, I mean, even just the way that they fly, the way that they die was just too over the top. It didn't need to be so over the top. I mean, if you're gonna have this really great, again, keep using the word tension, but I feel like that's the best way to describe it in the film, and this almost like slow feeling to everything, and then to just be so over the top with the CGI for the vampires. It just had two very different tones to the film going on. That was just something that kind of like take you out in the film, and when it's a vampire film, like that's the last thing you want, is to be kind of almost trying not to laugh at how ridiculous the vampires were done. It's a vampire film, you want the vampire aspect of it to be enjoyable. So that would be the main thing that I would kind of critique in this film, is that the characters, the storyline between Ben and Susan, the things that are happening vampire-wise off-screen was all really enjoyable. And then again, you'd get to the vampires and it would just take you out. So that's like my main critique in this film, but all in all, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was a lot of fun. I think that, the climax of the film takes place at a drive-in, which was also really cool, and I really liked that aspect of the film. And the overall small town setup, which is just kind of Stephen King's thing, I of course really enjoyed, and it will say it's really interesting watching this film, because one thing I realized while watching this film that I thought was interesting, that I guess I've never really noticed or connected before, and it makes me want to look. I'm gonna have to look and see if this is like a reoccurring thing in all of Stephen King's books or adaptation, is character names. We have a lot of the characters in this film share names with characters from It. We have Ben, we have a character named Richie who's a bully. He's very briefly in the film, but we have a character named Mike. So that was like something in addition that caught my eye that I just kind of wanted to like mention. But really, generally, I liked this film as, a film on its own. Again, not comparing it to the novel, not comparing it to the 70s adaptation. As a film for itself, I did really enjoy it. So if you have seen this film, let me know what your thoughts were on it in the comments below. I hope that you did enjoy this review. If you did, please to give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more spooky and horror related content, and I will see you all again later with another video. Bye.